Hello everybody, welcome into our latest live video. Today, it is Friday, it is the 18th of April 2025. My name is Carey Holzman and today we're going to be looking at something, well, who knew this day was coming? $100 mini PCs. Now, we're not quite at $100 yet. We're about $10 to $25 away from hitting that. So we're jumping into this to be early. And let's be honest, I mean, anywhere from anything under 125, I just rounded down. There's a full computer for 125 bucks or less. We have many to choose from. So, well, we did look at these individually over the course of the last few weeks. I want to look at them sort of comparatively today, including two we don't have that also may be worth considering. And, or for entertainment purposes, place your bets on when we're finally going to start seeing them sub $100. We can't be far away from that, I imagine. I could be wrong, but I believe we're going to be in the $99 range here within a few months for equivalent machines to what we're looking at today. Maybe not the same ones, but equivalent. Or even maybe the same ones. If it's old inventory and they just can't sell it, who knows how low they'll go. First, let me say hello to everybody joining us. Thank you to all the members, everybody in green. Good to see you all in there. A shout out to our friend Luke Greenia, who contributed $25 via PayPal just prior to the show. Joining us from Vermont. Always good to hear from our friend Luke. Craig Wilson with a $10 super chat there in the chat room before the show started, along with Mark Gaines joining us from Northern Ireland with a £10 super chat. Mark Gaines also sends a message. He says, hello, Carey, Mara, and everyone in the chat. Cheers, Mark. Charlie Purdy with a $20 super chat says hello to Carey. That's me. Mara, that's the administrator behind the camera. And everyone in the chat. That's all of you. I'm glad I cleared that up. Thank you, Charlie. And Charlie renews his membership, now a member for 10 months. He says, thanks, Carey and Mara. It's been fun, and I look forward to the future. Right on. Right on. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Hello to Darren Gilholm, Eddie Casanova, and John P. Martin Hogg joins us from Scotland. And, of course, Craig Wilson saying hello. He says, I've learned much from you and these wonderful live streams. Well, we're so glad that you're a part of this community, and it's great to have you here. It's great to have all of you here so we can interact with each other during these live shows. Lana Dro says hello from a wet Utah. Oh, we're supposed to be getting some rain here in Phoenix maybe later today or tomorrow. I hope so, but we'll see. This is our calm before the heat. Yeah, it's going to get super hot. And then it's not going to cool down until about October. So I'm not ready, but it's coming. What can you do? Live in a desert, you move if you don't like it. I know. Thomas McT says hello. And said everybody, hope everybody has a great weekend. Mark Baggett, as well as, oh, there's Luke Greenia right there. Gary Bickle and Gil Garcia, Brad Ravel, and Frank Jimmy all say hello. There's Kurt Schlegel. Ben Laird joining us from Scotland. Martin Postema says good evening. Tim Teal and Easy Otter and Jason Wyrick and Scott all join us in the chat. There's John Paul Bacon and OG Gaming joining us as well. William Denton and John Williams all say hello. And John P. is also from Vermont. Well, there you go, Luke. John P. is also in your state. Of course, our friend Ben Laird from Scotland. Our friend Buster has not been feeling well, speaking of Scotland, so I guess he's fighting a cold or something. We certainly hope he gets over it soon. Buster's he's a tough cookie, so I just didn't imagine he'd be, it's got to be something pretty bad for him to be down for a few days like that. So get your rest, feel better, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a live chat very soon. And that's, of course, Peter Laycock, or as we call him, Buster. Yeah, I hope he's feeling better today. I hope each day is a little bit better than the day before. I hate being sick. Bajin Guy saying hello. There's Phil Stodd and Dustin Blackwelder. Welcome in. Richard saying hello from Seattle. It's great to have you all here as we explore mini PCs and the budget line. John P says, I picked up the GMKtec M6 AMD mini PC and I love it. I'm not sure which configuration the M6 has. Is that a mid-range? Is that like a 5, a Ryzen 5 or an i5? I cannot remember. Dwayne Blackwelder, he says, I finally caught a live one. Guess he's referring to the stream. And he's renewed membership, now a member for 29 months. Thank you, Dwayne. So, yes, we are living in strange times indeed, where you can get an entire working computer, the case, the motherboard, the CPU, the cooler, the power supply, the operating system, the RAM, the storage, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB ports for just over $100 here in the United States, with overnight shipping and a full warranty and 30-day free returns. Like, this is crazy. I know the 99-day mini PC is close ahead. What I was doing in order to get computers down to this price a few years ago was buying off-lease business computers, and I would pick them up, say, for around $50 each, and then I'd throw another $50 of replacing the mechanical drive with a solid-state drive, clean them up, test them, reinstall Windows 10, make sure their BIOSes are up to date, which they never were. But those were Intel Core i5-6500T processors. Those are desktop processors designed for business use that were already a few years old. And then it would cost me another $50 to ship them on average. So if I was giving them away, we gave away a lot to veterans. You know, initially we were giving away rebuilt tower computers, and those were very expensive to ship by comparison and much more likely for damage. So over the years, we've been finding unique and clever ways to get the price down so we can send units out for free to people who desperately need them, right? People who are at a fixed income, they're living check to check, and we definitely want to encourage them to be a part of the community, so we give them that ability by sending them a computer, assuming they qualify and they're here in the United States. So we went from the tower computers to the little mini PCs, refurbishing and shipping, and the shipping went down by half. The number of issues with the devices arriving in perfect condition went to almost zero. Pretty rare one doesn't arrive right. And the shipping time is also faster. I guess it has something to do with the size of the box. But now, for even less money than I was doing all that labor and all that time, or, you know, time and labor is kind of the same thing, plus investing in, you know, looking on eBay, trying to locate and find these mini PCs, never quite knowing what shape they're in. They're worn out, you know, not worn out, but worn in, you know, they got scratches and they're clearly used. Anyway, now you could just go on Amazon and order one of several different computers, get the shipping and the box and the packing all included in the price, get it a lot faster, and get a warranty because it's brand new, and be able to return it if you don't like it within 30 days back to Amazon. This is getting crazy. Now I have standards. There's a certain level of that's too low for me to go. All right. So when it comes to what processor or how much money in exchange for what we're getting, I'm weighing all that out as if you were a customer and you're saying to me, look, I have a $100 budget. What can I buy that you, Carey, would recommend? Nothing. Well, now, wait a minute. There's these refurbished ones. Well, if I fix up the refurbished one and, you know, remove the mechanical drive, put in a solid state drive, they're actually pretty decent for Windows 10. And that's been great for a few years, but we knew this day was going to come where that was never going to be Windows 11 compatible, but that was years in the future. Even though several people online started freaking out about this. Windows 10 is coming to an end 2 years ago. Relax. You still have 6 months. But now it's time to start looking for a Windows 11 compatible machine, or pay the $30 a year for one more year of support, which, you know, you're just prolonging the inevitable. Or continue to use Windows 10 without updates and just hope that your identity isn't stolen and that you'll continue to be safe. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. One way or another, I think Windows 10 will be safe to use throughout the rest of 2025. But without extended support, paid extended support, I would not be using Windows 10 in 2026, period, end of story, unless it's not connected to the network. If it's got no internet connection, you can use it as long as you want. It's your choice. It's not that Windows 10 will stop working, it just won't get any more updates. Those updates aren't coming out for fun. Microsoft certainly would love to cut the budget of all those employees that have to write and test and release the update, and then the developers that have to update the Windows Update channel, and then all the bandwidth it takes up worldwide, the expenses into the millions of dollars, just so people can complain about how the updates broke their computer, which usually represents a very tiny little percentage of people. The world's not a perfect place. But those who avoid getting the updates then leave themselves vulnerable to the things the updates fix. It's sort of like saying, I know a bunch of people who got a vaccination for the flu, and they got a little sick afterwards. So therefore, I'm not going to be vaccinated for the flu. Instead, they get the flu. Or they at least risk it. I don't understand the logic of some people, but this is America and that's your freedom of choice. So you do what you're going to do, but don't expect you're outsmarting anybody. Either you're getting lucky, you're gambling, or you have a belief system that is uniquely yours and you're entitled to, but adjust your expectations accordingly. So when it happens, this is what you were warned about. Now, that doesn't mean everybody running Windows 10 in 2026 is going to be affected. It just means they're more likely to. So with that said, all of the machines we're showing you today already have Windows 11 on them, and they are all modern processors. They're 12th and 13th gen Intel processors, or like Ryzen, third generation Ryzen. So they're all on the compatibility list for Windows 11. Let's just get that out of the gate. There are some older models of Intel like N4000, N5000. I don't recommend them because they're just too darn slow. But the N100 is a 12th gen and the N150 is a 13th gen. They're pretty similar. I don't know that I can really tell much difference between them. One may use DDR5 or one uses DDR4. Again, can't really tell any difference between them. Yes, you can run benchmarks and you can see all the differences in the world. You know, if you want to look at a microscope at a deep enough level, you can see little bacteria crawling all over your skin. So what? So what? Just because you can throw something under a microscope to identify if that's what it takes for you to see it, if you're going to go through that much effort, maybe just stay away from it. If you're that kind of personality, you should be buying a $6,000 computer because that's the only thing that'll live up to your standard. But for everybody else on a budget that understands this is a great value for the price and you can't afford to be picky, you need something that you can rely on, that's built well, that has a warranty, and is very inexpensive, but isn't going to be like a snail as far as performance goes. Any of the machines I show you meet my requirement before I would recommend it to a customer. Now, each of these machines varies in how they're configured with how many video outputs they have, what type of Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, whether or not they have SATA or NVMe drives. There's little variations like that. And it's up to you to determine which thing has most value for you, because you're going to give up one thing for something else when staying within the price range. That's it. It's as simple as that. If you want more, all you have to do is spend more money. But this, across the board, meets what I consider to be minimum requirements for any of my customers approaching me and asking me what I would support going forward into the future with Windows 11, if what they have now is not Windows 11 compatible. And we have done individual reviews of each one of these machines that are 2 and 3 hours long if you want to get down into the nitty-gritty of it all. But I think the way I want to start is just show you the Amazon pages, and then you can scope out the specifications, look at the reviews, and look at the price. So let's do that right now. I'm going to jump right over here to my first link right there. And then I'm going to turn on my window capture mode. There it is. All right. Okay, so this WoWe doesn't appear to be the right unit. I think we got the wrong link. Let's do this. I want to type in N. Here we go. N100 mini PC. Oh wait, this is a Ryzen 3. I'm not going to find it that way. WoWe. What do we call this one? So the one we've got in front of us is the P5. I think that's why we've got the link. But if you look here, yeah, that's the P5. $125. All right. So Mara, if you can fix that link for me, I'd appreciate it. This should be the link we're using for today's video, because every computer we're looking at is at this price or less, or should be anyway. All right. So this is the Ryzen 5 3500U. Now, these are all going to pretty much be with 8 gigs of RAM, maybe 12, but that's really not a big deal anymore. With a solid state drive, RAM swapping is barely noticeable. 256 gig SSD. Now, I cannot remember if that's NVMe or SATA, quite frankly. I'd have to go back and look. Now, this is coming with Windows 10 Home, but because this processor, this R5 3500U, is Windows 11 compatible, the upgrade to Windows 11 is free. You'll just get Windows 11 Home for free. Now, if we want to just check that CPU, I can highlight where it says Ryzen 5 3500U, open a new tab up here, and this type in Windows 11, type the name of the CPU, and then the word CPU compatibility comes down here, and it says Windows 11 supported AMD processors. This is coming from learn.microsoft.com, so it's a legitimate site. And you'll see these are all sorted like this is all Athlons and EPYC processors, don't you wish? Ryzen 5 should be down. Here we go. 30, what do you say it was? 3500U. There it is. So it is definitely on the Windows 11 CPU compatibility list. You're good to go. You will have to do that upgrade yourself, which could take an hour or longer, but it's free. So that's part of where your discount's coming in. You're going to have to put a little time in there. Or you can just leave it on Windows 10 for a while. You don't have to immediately put it on Windows 11, but you can when you're ready. So coming back over to the Amazon page over here, we've got, it says the lowest price in 30 days, $125.30. It is being shipped from Amazon. It says if we ordered it today, we'd get it on Sunday. So 2 days. A lot of information here with regards to supporting 4K display, 3 of them at the same time. It's got, if we look at the ports on this, it says 32 gig DDR4. These CPUs can only handle 32 gigabytes maximum. They're going to be single channel, 1 memory socket. It's a limitation of the chip itself. Even the, I better not say, with AMD it's different than with Intel. Intel's got some restrictions on how much RAM these budget CPUs can see. For obvious reasons, they're budget CPUs. They're not meant to see 64 gigs of RAM. They're really not even meant to see 32, quite frankly. Normally 16 is about the limit, because even though you could put more in it, it likely can't use it. It'll see it, it'll just sit there. So in any event, I'm not sure with the AMD, maybe it will use it, but you're just dealing with 4 cores and 4 threads. And by today's standards, that's really fast. I mean, you're gonna likely not notice any difference with this computer than you would a $2,000 desktop when it comes to how long it takes to boot up, or even how long it takes to open or browse the web, your email, pay your bills online, go on your social media sites, watch YouTube videos. It's only when you do things that are resource intensive. So if you're working on some extremely large documents, and I mean big, giant spreadsheets, things like that, but then that assumes you're getting paid. And if you're getting paid, buy better tools. It's your investment into how much money you can make in a day by how productive you can be. Why let a tool hold you back from making more money? So for people who are using this for home use, they're not using it to make money. Or even, you know what, if you're using it to sell off a bunch of stuff on eBay or Facebook, these are fine. I'm not saying you can't make money with them. But these are intended to be the most basic, at the lowest price with a warranty that I personally would support in my business. That's all I'm trying to get across to you. You can see there's 12 ratings averaging 4.5 stars. Now let's go up here. Let's look at the next one. What do we have? The Minisforum UN100L. Okay, so that one, just to keep you on board where we are, we just looked at the Huawei. Now we're looking at Minisforum. No, that's not a Minisforum. That one's a Minisforum. And we've looked at this one in the past, the UN100L. Let's go look at the specs on this one. And you're going to find they're all very comparable. This one is a little different. This is refurbished. Now, the problem with refurbished is you may not, depending on who you're buying it from, you may not get as much of a warranty. You may not get 2-day shipping. This looks like it'll be 2-week shipping from what I'm seeing, 2 or 3 weeks. But for less than $110, this has an N100 processor. Now again, N100 is 12th gen, N150 is 13th gen. Anything below these, I'm not interested in. An N97 will be okay, but you know, these 4000 and 5000 series Intel chips from years ago, they still will be compatible with Windows 11, but I just personally can't see why anybody would spend that money when you can get these so cheap. These are much more modern, for about the same exact price, if not sometimes even cheaper. This is a bit more equipped because it's refurbished. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. That's going to be low power DDR5. That low power means the RAM is soldered on. Again, you shouldn't be looking at these for upgrading. There's really nothing to upgrade in these. If you want to add more storage, even if you can change the storage out, I don't recommend it. Just slap an external drive through the USB ports. It'll run exactly the same speed, while at the same time encouraging you not to put your eggs all in one basket. It's a bad idea. I'm just giving you my advice as a service technician. If that's not enough space for you, get an external drive. Don't open these up and work on them. They're delicate and there's not much user serviceable in there. If that's what you want to do, Minisforum does sell these even cheaper with no storage and no RAM and no operating system, requiring you to have to put in and provide your own RAM storage and operating system. That's called a bare bones unit. So if you ever see bare bones listed, that means you've got the motherboard, the CPU, the cooler, the power supply, the case. You've got everything except the RAM, the storage, and the CPU. I'm sorry, the CPU soldered on. You've got everything with the RAM, the storage, and the operating system. Wow, I don't know where my brain went there. But these computers are worth considering, except they're going to be very limited in quantity versus, let's say, for example, some of the other machines. Here they're showing you that you can add a 2.5-inch drive into the lid. I think you're profoundly making a terrible decision if you do that. That is a very, very, very slow drive. You're adding heat into the top half of the case that has no fan. And should there be a problem, you've just lost everything in that one little box. By externalizing or putting that, even if you wanted to use that extraordinarily slow and ancient mechanical drive, you can get a small USB dock for a couple bucks or USB adapter for like $7 and just plug it into the USB port. Your USB port runs 10 times faster than that drive can work. That's how slow those drives are, and they generate a lot of heat. So while Minisforum allows you to do that, I'm recommending you don't, but you can go against my advice. Nobody's gonna, you're not gonna get in trouble for it. You're just gonna make your own bed. You know, if I want to eat this table that I'm standing in front of, nobody's stopping me from eating the table. It would not be illegal for me to just start carving up this table and chewing on it. I shouldn't do that. But if I want to, I can. All right? I'm not suggesting anybody should do that any more than I'm suggesting you should add any more storage to these mini PCs. I understand the idea from many people. They say, I want it all, and I want it for free. Well, you can want all you want. Let me know how that works out for you. Here's what you can have. This is what's available. So if you've got the time and money to afford extra storage, you probably have the time and money to buy something higher end where you wouldn't need to buy the extra storage. But that's just the way I was raised, okay? So the Wowie is a great machine. We have a couple of these out in the wild, and the people that have them have no complaints. The Minisforum, we've got a lot of these out in the wild. We've been looking at them for years. Very respectable company. These are refurbished, and so quantities are going to be limited, but they may replenish depending on, typically renewed or refurbished machines are machines that have been sent back. There's not necessarily anything wrong with them. So say, for example, you bought one of these, and your spouse says, why did you spend that money when you know we've got these other bills due? And now you're in trouble and you have to return it, even though you never even took it out of the box. Or maybe you took it out of the box and you had unrealistic expectations. You thought you were buying a Ferrari for the price of a Matchbox car. Is that on me? That's on you. I'm telling you, these things are great for regular everyday use. If you're more demanding than everyday use, you should not be looking at any of these, period. You'll never be happy. But if that situation comes up, you can still return it. Then it goes to be checked out, and then they label it as renewed if everything looks good. Sometimes there may be a little scratch or something on it. You can go to refurbish.minisforum.com and just look through their ever daily changing inventory. And yeah, many of the units will maybe have a scratch, or maybe they have a little nick in them. So what? It can significantly save you a lot of money. And you can get bare bones versions there. So if you do want to add RAM and storage, why buy it twice? Just buy the unit without it, since you're not going to be happy unless you do your own thing. But I can almost guarantee the amount of RAM and storage you add will be worth more than the whole cost of the unit with RAM and storage, because that's the way people are. I don't get it. I'm not saying you're all that way. I'm saying these are the people I run into all the time online, and I just scratch my head wondering, what were they thinking? All right, so just have reasonable expectations. Let's move over to this. This is the GMKtec. Now, the GMKtec, we took a look at this, a deep dive back around 2 weeks ago, and it was on sale. Let's bring that capture back up. Yeah, this was on sale for like 20 bucks off. So it came out to like $119, something like that. I can't remember. And if you notice here, we've got a bunch of different models. Each one of these boxes represents a different model. And the price doesn't change until I actually click on it. So here's one that's a little better equipped with 16 gigs of RAM. And right there, you see these coupons, they come and go. So at the time I bought this, there was a $20 off coupon. There's an $11 off coupon that brings that price to $157.99, let's say $158, which is only about $19 more. But for $19 more, you're getting twice the RAM and twice the storage. Would you pay $19 more for twice the RAM and twice the storage? Well, you would if that was important to you. You can see some prices highlighted right underneath in the box. It says $339, $289, $143. This is one of those little teeny tiny ones. And it looks like, yeah, 12th gen N97. So the N97 is about as low as I would go. It may only have a SATA drive in it. However, they're still plenty fast. All right, and then speaking of these little teeny tiny ones, the Ace Magic or Ace Magician, we looked at that last week. This is SATA. It's not an NVMe drive. So you're only going to get like 550 megabytes per second, which is still about 3 times faster than a mechanical drive. It's nothing to shake a stick at. 3 HDMI outputs on it are what make this unique. It's got 12 gigs instead of 8 gigs of RAM, which likely won't make much difference to anybody anyway, but people, this is how marketing works. They give you more of something that you have been convinced by marketing is going to make a difference, because it used to back in the day. These days, yeah, maybe it will for you, but for most people, they can't tell them apart. So it's an N100, supports 3 video outs at the same time. It's got soldered on RAM. You cannot upgrade or change that RAM. That RAM is also faster. and more reliable because it's soldered on. It's also cheaper, which is why it can be afforded to be faster. It's only Wi-Fi 6. It's not 6 or 6E or 7, but if you're running 6E and 7, you must have some money because this costs less than the router you bought. All right, that's all I'm trying to say. Like, at what point does this start not making any sense? So the NVMe here doesn't specify. You'll notice it's NVMe or SATA. I think I just called it NVMe. It is a SATA drive. Whenever a manufacturer doesn't tell you, if it just say it's an SSD, you got to wonder, why are they not telling me if it's SATA or NVMe? So the other place you could look is at the speed specifications, where it tells you all the speeds of everything. And when you know, they left that out too. They just omitted it. Whoops, I guess we forgot to put it in. But that's where the reviews can help you, because if you scroll down, maybe somebody's got a screenshot in a review showing the speed of the drive. And this holds true for whether you're buying just a drive or a whole computer. And if we scroll down here, I don't see any photos posted, but you can see people really like it. And it also helps to see that somebody's a verified purchaser. That will say that, you know, take out any doubt that they were sent a unit for free in exchange for review, which they're going to be more likely to be kind, right? Because they didn't feel like they were ripped off if it was for free. So I do like to see verified purchase under these reviews, and I don't see that. Oh, and then to see more reviews, I guess I have to sign in. Now this unit is unavailable. However, being sold out, they being Ace Magician, make several other models that are very similar to this. So if we visit the Ace Magician store, we can take a look-see. Don't let the cases fool you. A lot of times they'll upgrade the machines year to year while not changing the case design, because that's an expensive process to retool the plastic injection molding and redesign the cooling. So as we look through here, if I look for that little teeny tiny one, here we go. There's the T8 Plus with 16 gigs and 512. Here's the T8 Plus with 12 gig and 256 gigs of storage. Is that the one that's sold out? Here we go. That's the one we're looking for. Hopefully Mara can change our link to this. You see the $60 coupon? That's going to change that price to $129.99. So that's about $5 over the $125 I thought was my limit. But at $130, that may be worth it to you because of those 3 HDMI ports. That's pretty unusual to see. Usually to hook up 3 monitors, you get an HDMI port for one monitor, a display port for another monitor, and a USB Type-C for another monitor. In this case, having all HDMI makes that a little simpler, a little less complicated. However, I don't know anybody running 3 monitors. I have some customers running 2, which of course any of these mini PCs will do fine, but maybe you want that 3rd monitor. If so, it may be worth the extra $5 to you to pay for it. Plus you get that extra 8 gigs of RAM, which again, here we're looking at DDR5 instead of DDR4, which doesn't really make any difference outside of benchmarks. You're probably never going to notice it, but if it makes you feel good, there you go. It is going to be a SATA SSD, so your speeds on this are going to be about 550 megabytes per second, which again is, for a machine like this, is perfectly acceptable. Ethernet is gigabit. It's got 2 Ethernet ports on the back of it, and it's the other thing that's unique about this unit is how small it is. It's only 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. It's super tiny. Don't they have the measurement here? Here's all your ports. You've got 2 Ethernet ports that are gigabit. Now some of the other mini PCs have 1 Ethernet port that's 2.5 gig. I'm not quite sure who's buying a $125 mini PC who needs 2.5 gig, but I'm sure there's some of you out there. At some point that'll become normal, but we're not there yet in 2025, okay? So I don't think that's really all that important. Wi-Fi 5 versus Wi-Fi 6, I can't really answer that for you because I personally try to stay off Wi-Fi as much as possible. If you're running Wi-Fi 5 and you have a Wi-Fi 6 router, on a machine that's equipped like this, it's not going to make much difference because your bottleneck is the machine itself. You'll be able to play back videos fine. You shouldn't even notice any difference. if you're transferring large files over the network and you feel like it's taking a long time over Wi-Fi, what are you doing with this? This isn't for you. This is, not much bigger than a hockey puck. It's really small, a little bit taller, and it's really designed for practical use case scenarios. Well, you can use it as a toy. You can also use it as a media center for your TV. If you don't have a smart TV, just turn it into one by throwing any of these boxes on it. And, for that matter, you could just go buy a Fire Stick if you want more limited usage. But what I'm trying to get across to you today is that there's never been this many options at this point that are so well equipped. What I don't want you to hear is that these are the best machines on the planet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these are the best machines at this price today. And if you can find a better machine that's cheaper, please let the community know so we can check it out. Now I'm going to give you an example of one that I found right over here. Is it? Oh, this one we've never reviewed, but I like this brand. The KAMRUI E1. And you'll notice there's a few versions of this. Watch the price. $123.95. Again, it's going to be 8 gigs of RAM, DDR4, 256 storage. Don't know if it's NVMe or SATA. We can scroll down and see if any of the reviews show screenshots. But a lot of you who shop on Amazon miss a very important point on these reviews. We don't know where these images are from with regards to, or what they're referencing. Because if you go up at the top, anytime that you get to an Amazon page that has multiple products, so we have the E1, the AK1, different versions of the AK1, another version of the E1, another version of the E1. So which one are they reviewing? That's what you got to ask yourself. So when you scroll down, you can't just assume all these reviews are for the one you're looking at. They don't know which one you're looking at. You're looking at one of those 6. But if you look right here where it says size, this tells you under each review which product they're reviewing. If your Amazon page only has one product, then all the reviews are for that one product. But if the Amazon page has more than one product, then the reviews cover every product on that specific Amazon page, and you must read which one it's reviewing if you have any desire to get helpful information to the product you are interested in versus just all of them in general. So every review will tell you which one it's for, okay? I just want to make it very clear. That's just not common knowledge for whatever reason. So the KAMRUI is an acceptable, falls right in line with the others that we're looking at. We just haven't ordered one. We don't have one in stock.
Check your email. And thank you, Charlie.
So Mara has alerted me to check my email here, so let's do that. I suspect we got something from Charlie Purdy. All right. Happy Friday. Mark Gaines sends $63 over to us. I don't see a message there, but thank you very much, Mark Gaines from Northern Ireland, for your continued generosity. There's our friend Charlie Purdy with an Amazon gift card. He says, I was away last week on business. Please tell Mara I received her cookbook. My wife and I have tried over 6 recipes, and they're all delicious. This book is great for my diabetic wife. If we have diabetes, or if you know any diabetics, I highly, highly recommend these delicious recipes. Thank you, Marlena. Well, first of all, wow, that's amazing. It's a very generous gift card, Charlie. Thank you so much for your feedback on that. And yeah, the diabetic thing, for people who know, you know. There's a lot of temptations out there that you need to stay away from because it'll cause you harm in your health or worse. So to be able to remove that temptation by making foods where you don't feel like you're eating diet food, you're not eating, there's new ingredients and substitutes, the things that create carbs and sugars that didn't exist a few years ago. And Mara is always on top of that, whatever the latest and greatest thing is, and then testing her blood sugar to see what kind of an impact it's having. Now, of course, just because it doesn't have an impact with her doesn't mean it won't have an impact with you. And that's why it's important that you use these as a guideline and to evaluate for yourself what sort of impact they have. The important thing is to set you on that path to introduce you to these new ingredients or ingredient substitutes that get so close to the real thing, you might actually, and hopefully will prefer them, that they actually taste better. So that's the Mara's cookbook, which she just self-published over on Amazon. For those of you who don't know, I'll jump back over to Amazon, and we have a link to the cookbook in the video notes below today's video. And let me jump over here and go to window capture. Yeah. So you see, we only have two reviews on this. Hopefully people will leave more reviews and maybe do better on the Amazon search results or recommendations. But unfortunately, Amazon raised the price. This was a $17, $18 book. And Amazon, I don't know, after we ordered a couple of copies, they raised the price. I guess they realized it cost more to make and ship than they estimated. I don't know why they raised the price, and Mara can't take that price down. That is the lowest they're going to let her sell that book for, which really upsets me, because I wanted this to be a $20 book. In the meantime, it's there. There's about 100 recipes in it, so there you go. The Kindle version I do not recommend. There's still formatting problems with it, and we can't seem to get that to come down. So I would avoid the Kindle edition until such time as we have the formatting issues corrected. We're aware of it and we're working on it, but Amazon this whole thing's automated, so you're not like really getting to talk to anybody for help. So she'll figure it out. I know she will. Charlie Purdy, thank you so much. Mark Gaines, thank you as well. Lou Greenia, shout out to you as well. Now, getting back to what I was talking about, the KAMRUI computer and our mystery computer. So what's the mystery computer? Well, I'm still trying to get to that $100 mark, right? That's my goal. A machine I will recommend that's at or below $100, brand new, not refurbished, with a full warranty. Problem with the refurbished ones, even if they come with the regular warranty, they have limited quantities. So what's something we can all get? That's, I don't want to alienate anybody and make it a race to who gets there first. I don't want to play those games. So that's when I ran into, let's see, where am I? Just squirreling around with my mouse, and I found a brand I'm not familiar with, so I don't know what the support is going to be like. You know, they really need to have a website where you can download the drivers if needed. I don't know that these folks do. I haven't looked, but I did order the unit. I will not get it till, say, Tuesday. But this video, I think, if you're at all interested in the content, this is going to be very different content for me, because I'm going to step outside of my box and my comfort zone, and I'm going to buy a Linux computer. Get back in your chair. I'm not going to keep it a Linux. I'm not using Linux. I'm going to put Windows 11 on it. But here's my thought. Here's a 13th gen N150 with 8 gigs of RAM, 256, still following all the same specs as everything else. But with this $20 coupon, however long that's going to be around, that brings that price to $112. And it's Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. It's not a generation behind. It is just gigabit Ethernet, not 2.5. But I've already mentioned the 2.5. I wouldn't expect that on a computer of a budget range like this. And, you know, it's kind of classy looking. It's got a little faux wood grain there. It's got the ports I want with regards to 2 USB 3s. We got our Kensington lock, our gigabit LAN, 2 HDMI outs. Remember I said a lot of computers that support two monitors will have one display port, one HDMI. This gives you two HDMI, your standard barrel power connector, and on the front, two more USB 3s. Claire CMOS button, which again, I don't know anybody's using that. I believe we've got a headphone jack there, and then a power button. So I've never heard of Soayan. I don't know if they're any good. The USB 3.2 ports are 10 gig per second. So 10 gig per second, when you want to translate that into what sort of performance you can get out of that, it is should be 1,000 megabytes per second. So if you were to hook up a compatible SSD through USB that could achieve that speed, the machine will actually do that. And 1,000's pretty fast when you consider we're looking at a $112 machine, and that mechanical drive that you absolutely insist you need, you'll be lucky if you can even hit 200 megabytes per second on its good day. That's the difference. 5 times faster through the USB port. But mechanical drives by design, they're just, 80% slower, at least 80% slower, and sometimes even more than that. So you do you. But all I'm telling you is, with regards to this, what I'm wondering is, does this company, this manufacturer, have a website where we can download Windows 11 drivers? We know they're not inventing the circuit board and the network interface card and the sound card and the chipset. So worst case scenario is we source that somewhere else from another mini PC manufacturer who's equipped with the same stuff, and we Frankenstein it. Or am I wrong and it has to run Linux? So you know what? For $112 to make that video, I said, deal me in. So you've got that to look forward to next week. But yeah, I am not using Linux on this. But if that's the reason why they can sell it so cheap, is they're not paying for the Windows license. I get Windows licenses cheap, and Windows licenses are free anyway. You don't need to activate Windows 10 or 11. They will run indefinitely. You just can't personalize them without activation. All right, so if it's important to you to change your wallpaper and get rid of the watermark, which is important to most people, you buy the license. And with our friends at SCD Keys, the licenses are like 15 bucks. What's the big deal? Now, granted, if I add $15 onto the price, it's not 112 anymore. It'll be 127. But that still puts us in line near that 125 mark with the rest of what we're looking at here today. See what I'm getting at? There's so much to choose from. So if you count these four plus the KAMRUI plus that other one, that's a half dozen, and that's just with brands I'm familiar with. With the last one, I'm not. But all the other brands we've seen here before, they're a solid brand. We've got them out in the wild. People like them. It's not just me. We've got viewers with the WoWe, viewers with the Minisforum, viewers have the GMKtec, and viewers have the Ace Magician in different various models. They've worked with these manufacturers. They've got no complaints. So, with that being said, what questions or concerns do you have? And do you find this type of content interesting or appealing to you? Or do you know somebody as a friend or a family member that could use one of these? Because it may be worth it for some of you to just buy one so they'll leave you alone. We've talked about this concept before, that if you become the go-to person for your family and they're having constant issues, the question is, how much would you pay to get them to stop? And if part of the reason they're having problems is they're running with a computer that's 10 years old or older, say, here's your birthday present early, here's your Christmas present early, just get it done and out of the way, and watch those support calls drop away. And instead of hearing, I need your help, you're going to hear, I can't believe you just gave this to me. This is amazing. I love this thing. Sure, you might have some support calls out of the gate as they get used to it, but then it should all just quiet down and you can have peace and harmony without jeopardizing your relationships with your friends and family. Why won't you help me, you jerk? Because this is the 17th time you called me today. All right, so there's another reason you might consider buying one. And if I'm wrong and they hate it, ask them to give it back and send it back to Amazon. 30-day returns. All right? What's your risk other than peace and happiness? Now, for a lot of people running small businesses, this is all they need. It depends what the business is, but there are plenty of real estate agents. They're going to do just fine with that. There's dental practices that are renting like Dentrix and other specialty. This is all they need. Now, they need a server, but that's beside the point. But on the side of where they're in the operatories where they do the work, they don't need much. They grab the scans from the X-ray machine and pull up the client files. It's really doesn't require much. In fact, let's run a little experiment here. And feel free to answer my earlier question as I keep yabbering on. What do you think would happen if I turned one of these on and somewhere here I have, I see it. I have an external USB capture card. So broadcasting at 4K, 30 frames per second at a 30,000 bit rate. Do you think one of these little computers could keep up with the video that I'm making today live? Or do you think it would stutter and go slow and be delayed? And something like this EVGA is an external, it's called an XR1 Lite. It can take the HDMI port from the back of the camera. Now, I wouldn't expect anybody to take a $2,000, $2,500 camera and plug it into a $100 capture card into a $125 computer. What I would expect them to do is grab a webcam for 40 bucks, pop that bad boy into the USB port and stream all you want. But I want to paint a worst case scenario to prove a point. I've not tried this. This is how confident I am. There's not going to be any problem. I've been wrong before. So if you want to place your bets, the first thing we have to decide is which one of these should I unbox and try this little experiment with. And we're going to take that camera that's feeding into our streaming PC, and we're going to put it in one of these, and put this into one of these, load OBS on it, and continue our stream. What do you think? You think it's going to work? Where streaming gets difficult is if you're trying to game and stream on the same computer. You can just forget that. For doing that, you've got a budget of at least $2,000. So take that off the table. On the other hand, you could use something very inexpensive like this to do your streaming, and in something more middling as your gaming PC, and you feed your gaming output right into the capture card, and then out of this to your monitor, and hopefully don't have much lag between your gaming and that. There are better solutions, but this could get it done. Now look at the size of the capture card box. It's crazy. It's a crazy world. Let me jump over to the chat and see what your comments are before we move forward here. Colin Hunt. Hey, Colin, good to see you, my friend, joining us from England with a £5 super chat. He says, good evening, everybody. Speaking of video capture. Thank you, Colin. Charlie Purdy says, use the GMKtec. Okay, this is the GMKtec, right? Let's get this out of the box. Dwayne says, let's go for it. I bet they will stream fine. Eric wants me to use the Wowie P5. I almost feel like the Wowie P5 is the most powerful of these because it's a Ryzen 5. I almost feel like that's not even a fair comparison. But fair enough, we got a vote for the Wowie P5. Jeff H joins us in the live chat. Hey, Jeff, welcome in. Jim KJ3N says you can stream a webcam on a Ryzen 2200G. Doesn't take much. Remember, we're in 4K though. Our bit rate's at 30,000. Can this even keep up? And we're going to go through a USB capture card. Will the USB be fast enough to keep up with the video at 4K? That's a lot of data. That's 4 times more data per frame than 1080. 1080 times 4 gets us to 4K. Take out, well, I'm still waiting on your responses in there. Let's pull out this EVGA. These were on sale. These were super cheap. And EVGA is a great brand when it comes to stuff like this. Let me just jump over at Amazon while I'm still waiting on your responses, because I'm curious if they're still the same low price or if they've gone back up. This is the EVGA XR1. Oh, maybe they don't make it anymore. Maybe that's why it was on sale. Well, let's do it another way. We'll search Google for EVGA XR1 Lite. Let's see what comes up. EVGA's website comes up, and they do show it is available for $100. So that is directly from EVGA. These were on sale for less than half of that price. But it's a great capture card because it'll do 4K, and it has 4K pass-through, meaning you can, what the pass-through means is, let's say you're gaming on another machine. You take the output of your gaming machine and plug it into this, and the output of this and plug it into your monitor. And that way you're capturing through the USB port on a different computer that'll grab the video through USB. Well, your HDMI out is going to your monitor, and then you have no lag. There shouldn't be any lag because it's passing through. That's what that means. But I just wonder if it's available cheaper. Maybe you buy one used on eBay or something. I don't know. You hit the shopping tab, because I know these were like 50 bucks when they went on sale. Oh, I'm not seeing them. Newegg wants $108. That went up the other way. Yikes. They have a link to Amazon. Oh, okay. So Amazon does have it. I just wasn't, it wasn't coming up in my search. And it looks like $71, $74. It must be a return or something. Let's see. See all buying options. So it's not coming from Amazon. This is coming from third-party sellers. And that seller's rating is not good, so I would not buy from that one. But for 99 cents more, this seller has perfect ratings. So I wouldn't hesitate there. Now this seller is shipping through Amazon. So if you want it a little faster, I suppose, you could pay $5 more, $4 more. And then you see the price keeps going up. These ratings are a little bit low. 53% is not good. I would not buy from that one. Just because it's more money, don't make that assumption. This is the one, if it were me, I think I'd be buying this one. It also looks like the delivery's free and it would arrive sooner for less money than this one. And the ratings are fantastic on the seller. Okay. So let me jump back to where we were over here. And then over to the chat room. Jason H88 thinks we should try this one. I'm just looking for a consensus. None of you are agreeing on which one I should use. Use the least powerful PC. Well, they're different power in different ways. I'm not sure how we define based on graphics ability, size of RAM, performance of the CPU between N100 and N150, depending on what OBS is really using. So OBS is pretty CPU intensive. I just don't know. They're so... What I'm trying to drill home to you guys is the difference between these outside of benchmarks is almost non-noticeable by a human being. You'd have to be an awfully demanding person to notice it. So I'm not sure you're going to see any difference whatsoever in the quality of stream, regardless of any of that information. Until we test it, I'm theorizing that it should all be pretty much exactly the same. It should. The whole reason I put it out there, which one should we use, is to prove that point to you, that you could literally pick any of these and they're all, I believe they're all going to be exactly the same as what you're seeing now on a $3,000 streaming computer. The difference on my $3,000 streaming computer is I can handle multiple inputs at the same time, picture and picture and picture and picture. I have so much more power available to me. But just so you know, when I do these streams, OBS is telling me right this moment that I'm using 0.7% of my CPU process. Not even 1% to make this video in 4K live at a 30,000 bit rate. Like that's, I don't even know. It's crazy. So these processors are very powerful today. All that stuff you used in the past that was slow, and the software you were using in the past that was software's been updated, chips have been updated. Now we just need to update you, some of you, to get you on board to see just how capable these machines are. So which one's the lowest power one? I don't know. They're all pretty low power. Some have less RAM, some are DDR4, some are DDR5, some have a 2.5 gig network, some have a 1 gig network, some are Wi-Fi 5, some are Wi-Fi 6. 8 gigs of RAM, this one has 12, this one has the most amount of RAM, right? 12 gigs. These are mostly all 8 gigs. Really shouldn't matter. They should all be the same. Easy Otter has another vote for the GMKtec G3 Plus. So that's the only one I'm seeing 2 for. Bajan Guy says Ace Magic. Mark Gaines says the Wowie P5. So again, of all of these, just to remind you, this is the most powerful one of all of them. Are you sure you want to stick with that? I would say if any of these, of all of these are all Celerons, and this is like a Ryzen 5. So this one is definitely going to have a better graphics chip in it because it's AMD. And this one's going to have a faster processor because it's AMD on a 5 series instead of a 3. Maybe we need to go for the visual. And the visual is, well, this one is also a bit more powerful. It's also a little bit physically larger. And this one, this looks like any other standard mini PC. And this one, this looks exactly the same as the Minisforum in shape and design. They're all kind of the same. The only one that's any different is the Ace Magic or Ace Magician. So maybe that'll be a more dramatic example. I want to show you the difference between the computer and the capture card. Are you sitting down? Because the capture card's going to look massive. This is like a deck of playing cards versus 2 hockey pucks stacked on one another. Okay, this is, where's my OBS screen? Capture card, computer. Capture card has an HDMI input, HDMI output, and then the video gets translated or converted over to USB. USB also powers this. Pretty clever stuff. So with the box of the capture card, we get a couple of cables here. You get an extra HDMI cable, because assuming you have one connecting to your monitor, you'd connect the one connecting to your monitor over to this, and this back over to the monitor. Okay, so that's why you get an extra HDMI. We're not going to run the pass-through. I don't see any reason to do that. This is a USB Type-C to Type-A standard USB cable that's included with the price of the capture card, and that enables us to use the USB-C connection on the back of the capture card into a standard USB Type-A connection that's most common on all computers. So we just take the USB Type-C, plug it in right here. That's going to carry our video out and provide us power to the unit, and we can literally plug it in to any USB port, preferably USB 3. In this case, I think they're 3.2. That's the front of the unit. This is the side with the HDMI. This is the side with the USB. And the back has our Ethernet and power. Speaking of Ethernet and power, I suppose we can hook those up. So I'll grab the Ethernet cable from down here. And then we'll grab power supply from in the box. Mark Gaines says, I changed my mind. Let's go with this Ace Magician. All right, Mark. I agree. Let's do it. We could do all of these. I think the results are always going to be the same. If not, we'll all be surprised together one way or the other, okay? That's why I like to put my money where my mouth is. We can sit there and talk all day. That does nothing. Let's do something instead, and we'll witness the results live, unscripted, right now. And then there's no doubt. I need an HDMI cable for this unit here. So let me just grab my standard HDMI. Now remember, this is going to be SATA. It's not NVMe. Use any HDMI port, it doesn't matter. We've got power, Ethernet. I need a keyboard and a mouse. And I guess I can turn this on. We'll hit the power button. See the blue light comes on right there. And we'll switch over to camera input 2. And we'll see this boot. In just a moment, we should see the post screen appear. There we are. It's a pretty fast boot, isn't it? For a little box like that. I mean, it's quiet. You don't hear anything. Now, let's grab OBS. So what I'll do is I'm going to go full screen over here so I can see this the way you guys see it at home. I want to bring up my browser. And I'm going to download OBS. Right here. For Windows. It's downloading in the top right. It's free, open source. Open the file, and that will get us installed. Don't need any of these windows open anymore, so I'll just close them to get the clutter out of the way. All done. I'll hit finish on this, and OBS should then start for the very first time. Here it comes. Okay, oh, we didn't even get the latest version. Let's update to the latest version, just to be clear. We'll get the update. It's nice that OBS does that. Remember, the first time you launch a program, cache files are made. So that first time might seem like it's taking a while, but then any subsequent of opening at any point in the future should be much, much faster as those files are cached. Here we're downloading the update, and then we're going to install that update, which, again, for this test to be as fair as possible, we want to be using the latest with all our Windows updates and with OBS updates and video updates and chipset updates to ensure that we are giving this a fair shake at performing. So when it downloads the file, it has to decompress it. And remember, we're running on a SATA drive, not an NVMe. And our processor's not the most powerful, but at the same time, this is no slouch. It's not like this happens lickety-split on my $3,000 computer either. It's a little bit faster by a few seconds on the $3,000 streamer, but it's not like $3,000 difference, if you ask me. Of course, that machine, like I said, it's capable of doing much more. And while I'm waiting on whatever this is doing, which I thought was going to pop up by now, I just want to see what this little hazard sign is for over here. Oh, set up OneDrive, no. Not going to do that. And app and browser control, I like to turn that on. Very good. Oh, security settings, it wants me to turn on device security, which means memory integrity. That's going to require a restart. I don't know why this wasn't already done. Did our OBS install and it didn't relaunch? Is that why I'm waiting? Yeah, that's what happened. Wait a minute. No, it says 3103. Can I just update that? I'm confused. Is it still unpacking in the background? It might be. Let's go ahead and, regardless of that, I'm going to restart so that security change can take effect. I want to give this a fair shake. I want all the updates on it. So we'll give that just a minute to reset. My apologies for, I thought these were ready to roll. I obviously missed that. So we'll go ahead and let that finish up, and then we're going to come back and we'll plug a camera in here and we'll show you the video feed. In the meantime, while we're waiting on that, I'm going to jump back over to camera 1 just to ask if there's any other questions or concerns, regardless if it has to do with streaming or if it's with mini PCs. Tariq wants to know, which camera do you recommend to have 4K quality just for streaming and blogging? You probably get any Logitech Brio is a good camera for that. You could also do OBS bot if you can afford it. They're really nice. What is OBS? OBS is the software I use that allows my camera to broadcast to you here on YouTube. The camera doesn't do it on its own, and the computer doesn't do it on its own. But the computer and the camera can communicate together through a capture card, and then that can be configured through OBS. It's like a mixer. If you've got a band and one person's playing guitar and one person's playing drums, we need to connect all those together and then adjust their volumes to what level of volume. We don't want one instrument drowning out all the other instruments. And just playing them acoustically might work, but if you're playing an electronic instrument like a synthesizer, things like that, you need another tool. The tool's called a mixer. So OBS is like a virtual mixer for taking our video and audio sources and translating them for the computer and translating them for YouTube. It's the intermediary. There's lots of other alternatives that do that. OBS is a mixer, if you will. And just as if you were in a band, you have multiple different kinds of mixers you can buy from different companies, including software mixers. If you have the interface to plug your instruments into, you can do all that through software on the computer. That interface in our case is a video capture card, but in the audio world, it'd be an audio capture and maybe multiple audio capture, one for each instrument. It's kind of, if that helps you understand it, that's all OBS is. It's open broadcast software. Open being that it's open source. John Downey said it'd be interesting to see how running a large spreadsheet or a large Word document and 3 or 4 PDF files and streaming a 4K video, MS Outlook, and 10 websites open will impact performance. Well, look, you know, it's like saying it'd be interesting if we could go get a Mazda Miata and run it on the Rubicon Trail. You're probably going to break the car. It's not designed for that. I don't understand what the logic is behind somebody wanting to take something that's intended for light use and see how many times I could slam it against the wall, how many pieces it'll break into. It's just not a hammer. I wouldn't, what you're describing, it'll do it, and it will slow down. But you could also use this for driving nails into the wall if you had a picture to hang. And to me, in my nerdy brain, that kind of abuse and the other that you describe are one and the same. Anybody who has that kind of demand of a computer should not be looking at a budget machine. You need to be more at least in the middle, because if you were using it like that and you wanted to know, Carey, what is the cheapest Windows 11 computer that you would recommend that can do everything you just described, we would not be having this discussion because you're not being realistic or reasonable. If you're curious, buy one and run it. It'll do it. It's just going to slow down. It's not built for that. That's not who it's for. And if you buy it because you just want to see how much abuse it'll take, that's not why I'm here. You know, you're free to do that, and you're free to report back to us what the results are, but I don't think you're getting the exercise. We're trying to find machines that are very affordable for people who need the basics. What you just described is not basic. What you've described is more midline. And so if you looked at a midline computer at midline computer prices, we could talk. But otherwise, you're mixing up things that don't belong together. And it can create confusion from the viewers going, well, I thought you said, you know, these were great. They're great for basic use. That's not basic use. That's also not advanced use. That's somewhere in the middle. So yes, these will do that, but they will slow down. Promise you they'll slow down. But they're not going to crash or anything. They're not going to overheat. It's just going to, you're going to need patience. They're just not designed to do that. I don't know why you'd want to do that any more than why you'd want to use this to drive nails in the wall. You could do that too. Why? All right, that's just the way I see it. Did we reboot over here? I let the time get away from me. Yeah, so whenever you get this, let's finish. Let me try this again. But after a few updates, eventually you're going to get this screen. It says, let's finish setting up your PC. If you want to know how to get through this, so it never comes, well, it'll come up again in a few months from another update. But a lot of people say, remind me in 3 days. This thing just constantly will annoy you every 3 days. So if you want it to go away for a while, do this. Hit continue. Hit skip. Hit back. Hit skip again. You're done. It's going to leave you alone for the next few months. All right? That gets rid of it. All right, let me try this OBS again now. Hopefully, no. Why am I still getting a... Oh, this darn thing. Tell it again. Dismiss OneDrive. I want to see everything happy down here. That's better. Now let's bring up OBS. It should open a lot faster because files have been cached and likely tell us we need the update. So let's just find out here in a second. Wow, that opened a lot faster. And yeah, 31.0.2. So that's not 31.0.3. So let's go to help, check for updates. Yes, let's update now. Searching. Then we should see the download happen. It's pretty fast. and then launch. That should be it. That's how easy these updates are. It's not like that's going to be markedly faster on a $3,000 computer. Now, if I switch back over here to camera 1, I want to show you the next few steps. I'm going to simply, well, we can do this one of a couple ways. I've got a second camera, and I can just plug the close-up camera in. I'll unplug it from my capture card, which is way down under here. And that is, should be, I think we're on this input right here. That should be it. Don't think my cable can reach. Okay. This is fun. You just bring that up there. See my hand? Stick. Let's rest it there. Okay. All right. Now, remember, this is all live and unscripted. So bear with me as I do my work. HDMI cable coming from the camera. This, I believe, is our input. One side is in and one side is out. We want to go in. And I'm not sure which one is which without my glasses, so let me just keep that from moving. And let's see what my glasses say over here. Yeah, it even has OBS certification sticker on the back. So, yeah, HDMI in is the one away from the USB port. So that plugs the close-up camera in. Now, if I cut to the close-up camera, it's feeding into here now. Now, this isn't feeding the YouTube feed, and I can do that too, but that requires me to back up my OBS configuration from the streamer and then restore it over here, which only takes a minute, but let's just do baby steps first because I want to see what our live looks like, just how the computer's processing it, if it looks jittery or not. Clearly, when we're broadcasting, that's going to be more of a bandwidth issue. If we're having a processing issue, we should see it here on the desktop. Let's jump back over there. And let me go full screen. And we need to add a video source. So under source, we'll hit the plus sign. We want to add a video capture device or display capture device. We'll just call it display capture. Capture method automatic. CamLink Pro. That's the... Okay, I guess that's the desktop, but it's not our camera. Select a display to cap. Oh, I see. That's for. Sorry, that's not a capture device. That's a display capture. So meaning I want to capture the screen. Silly me. Let's take that out. Let's remove it. That's not what I wanted. I wanted a display capture device. So let's try it again. Add. So there's a window capture, which opens, it captures any window on your screen versus a display capture that captures your screen. And what I want is a video capture device. Right here, video capture device. Click OK. And there's our close-up camera. See here? And is it coming in at 4K? Let's click on configure video. No, that's not it. Where is it displaying? Resolution. Oh, I know what the problem is. I've got the display in 1080 mode, so I can't see 1080 on the screen. I can't see 4K on the screen if I'm in 1080 on the desktop. Does that make sense? So I'd have to change my resolution of the desktop to 4K, and then I can see 4K over here. But if we go full screen, if I right-click, go full screen on this, this is the close-up camera. You can see there's no blur, and even though the camera is outputting at 4K, the capture card is processing 4K. 4K is going into the machine. It's down converting that into 1080 because my display output is set to 1080. But that's the same exact picture. Everything's the same. You'd never know we were on this little device. It's not making any more noise. It's quiet. And if we want to put this in 4K, let me go back to, sorry, this button here. And full screen over here. Right click. We'll go to our display properties or display settings, and we'll put us in 4K mode here. Keep these changes. I don't know if I have to restart OBS. I probably have to restart it. So let's close that down. Open it back up again. And you see how responsive everything is. It happens, there's a little bit of a delay, but it's relatively quick with how well it responds. Now, hopefully I will see 4K in here. If I right click, go to properties, and it says resolution type, device default. I'm trying to remember where it showed me this information. I thought it was under configure video, but that's not it. Maybe it was under, I thought it was under configure. Somewhere there's like an information about, you know, getting the data. Just a little out of practice here. If we choose custom, and this is 3760 by, what is it? Can't remember anymore. I can't remember the default. Hold on, let me cancel that out one more time. Properties. It is in here somewhere. This is a Carey issue. I haven't done this in such a long time. We can deactivate and reactivate. Man, I swear I was under here, but it does not provide me with the information I'm looking for. Where did they move it? Oh, maybe it's under the capture card itself, like properties. I guess that's where I was. Maybe it's because I have it active. Maybe I have to turn the active part of it off, then right click and go to properties. Is that it? Then I go to configure. Nope. I swear it was giving me all the. Oh. I was getting that from my capture card itself. I wasn't getting it from OBS. That's why I'm a little confused right now. So, okay. Reactivate it. So we're on device default with regards to resolution. And what was it? 3840 by, and I can never remember, 3840 by 1960 or something. No, that can't be right. 2180. I can't remember. If I don't get it right, you can't configure it. Because I don't know what are you on? What resolution is that? 1920 and 1920 is maybe I got it backwards. 21. Man. Hold on, let me just check my resolution. Somebody in chat's probably shouting it out. What did I set my resolution to? Oh gosh, I am well out of practice on this. Right click, because I know it's working in 1080. I just want to make sure it's working in 4K. Display settings are set to, what is it? 3840 by 2160. 3840, 2160. 3840 by 2160. Now, I wish OBS would just default to these common things, but you know, what can you do? Still not. Resolution 3840 by 2160. That should be it. About 2160 by 3840. Do I have the numbers in the backwards? Turn it off and back on again. $38.40 by 2160. So the only reason I can think of that that's not working is that we have OBS configured at 1080. Let me go back up here and go to our settings. See what resolution we're set up for. Output. Video. That could be the problem right there. 3840 by 2160. And then same thing, 3840 by 2160. Right click, properties, deactivate and reactivate. 3840, 2160. Now if I say default, let's go out of OBS and go back into it one more time. I'm just trying to figure out what resolution I'm in right now. It's really hard for me to tell 1080 from 4K. Properties. So device default is, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is what? Oh, right here it says resolution. But is that just the last number we put in, or is that the number it's putting in? 3840 by 2160. I'm just wondering if that's a cache number. Because that doesn't seem to be working for me here. Did I typo it? 3840. When it's in 4K mode, I can barely read it. No, I didn't typo it. I'm missing a piece somewhere. That's our capture device. So this is just getting to know the software, right? This is not an OBS error. It's not the computer doing anything wrong. It's me not just being unfamiliar with the configuration of it. But I believe at the default, we are seeing 4K. I'm just looking for verification. And then I'm going to go full screen on that just to see what it looks like over here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty sharp. I'm going to guess that's 4K. I don't know. You guys in the chat can tell me. I've not been looking in the chat, so I apologize if you've been offering some suggestions. I've got to go full screen to even remotely try and look at the text on the screen. So let's jump over here to camera 1. And that way I can go back over to the chat, which crashed on me with our lovely live chat memory leak. StuBot says, try adjusting the video capture on the canvas. Right-click video capture and look for scaling. It should be something like fit to canvas. Yeah, let me go back over there. "30 frames per second, 16:9. Yeah, all that looks good. The output is what we would be outputting to YouTube or Twitch or wherever you want to stream. Now, video bitrate at 2500 would suck at 4K, but since we're not outputting it yet, you know, I would want that number to be at about 30,000, and that's assuming you have enough bandwidth for that. All right, that's not on the computer or OBS. That's on your speed of your upload of your internet, not your download, but your upload or your sending speed has to be capable of putting out this much data, or you're going to have all kinds of weird freeze framing and stuttering as it's trying to, you know, you're basically just choking it with too much data and too narrow of a pipe. So all of this looks good. I don't see any issues there. And then with regards to scaling, we should be like transform. That tells us, you know, if we want to rotate or flip or fit it to the screen, stretch it to the screen. We definitely want to fit to screen, which is what it was defaulted to. And as I recall, the way I used to do this is I used to right click, go to properties, and under configure video, my capture card gave me more information. So what I'm guessing it is there's, because this is USB, I'm guessing it's somewhere else, probably in the EVGA software. So if we jump over to, let's say we go to EVGA, this will definitely do it, EVGA XR1 Lite software. That's going to give us the controls I'm looking for that I don't need with my higher end, more expensive internal capture cards. So at the EVGA Download Center, we're going to go over here, and the family of product is, these are all graphics cards. No. Oh, I see. Graphics cards, motherboards, other products. That's what I want. Other products. Choose a category. Capture device. Part number. Seriously? Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Type. I don't want any firmware, I don't think. XR1 Lite. That's the control. That's what I want. It wasn't too hard to find, was it? Windows 10, Windows 11 download. Pretty fast download. Give you a little clicky. Open that with File Explorer always. And extract a Rooney. Okay, now close all that. Close OBS too. Double click. Executable, double click, close that one back too. Try and get rid of the clutter. Here we go. Windows protect your PC, whatever. Just run it anyway. HDMI and HTTP key set as default. Save and exit. I thought I was getting some software here. What the heck? What the heck was that? That changed anything? No, hasn't changed anything for me. I'm looking for a little bit more data on the signal coming in, the details of the frame rate, the bit rate and the resolution. So let's close that out one more time. And I'm going to go back over to, we'll just type in EVGA XR1 Lite software download. And there's some forums or people talking about this a few years ago. XR1 RGB software. I don't want that. Light firmware update. I don't want a firmware update. I don't think I do. I don't even know how to tell what firmware I've got, quite frankly. Let's try this one more time. Look again at the options. We want a mouse capture device. Part numbers not available, or just all. And the capture device, XR1 RGB, XR1 Lite. That says firmware for the XR1 Lite. This says HDCP, but I don't see any software. This is drivers and BIOS. I want software, not drivers and BIOS. EVGA software. Precision X1. We want the XR1. See anything underneath this for anything other than video cards? Firmware. You know, I'm just a little curious what that firmware update would do. I don't think it's going to do anything. I think we probably have the latest firmware, but no. Capture device. Oh. XR1 Lite. Submit. Now that's for the firmware. When these are dated, this says it works in Windows 11. We'll grab that one. Very fast download. Open this. Double click. Extract all. Now this has our version number of the latest update, but I don't know what we have now. It says 1.12.7. Likely firmware and stuff like that requires running as administrator, so I'm going to just try that. See what happens. What is it going to say? Okay, hold on. I need my glasses because I need to move way up to read what that says. Now that I'm in 4K mode, you know, the font is just super tiny. Current version is 104.06.051. The new version is exactly the same. So we have the latest. Even on the MCU software, that firmware is also the same. So there's no benefit to run this. And that's why it gives you the confirmation. I don't need to hit update. There's nothing to update here. These numbers are exactly the same. That's not what I'm looking for. Close, close. I'd swear there's some XR1 software, and I'll be darned if I can't figure out where it is. EVGA is really good about stuff like this, but I'm pretty sure. Does it say to download some software somewhere? Use your EVGA XR1 Lite with OBS. It's instructing you to use OBS. Once you've downloaded, install, use the auto configuration wizard. OBS doesn't capture any video by default. Either click the plus inside sources, add your device as your EVGA XR1 Lite capture card. That's it. That's all there is. You talk about plug and play. I'm not complaining. That's pretty simple. I just don't know where we go in OBS to verify our video signal. Because I can take a 1080 signal and canvas it out to 3840 by 2160 or whatever it is. That's why I want to know what is it processing raw coming into the coming through the capture card in the USB port. Let me take one more look here, just one final quick glance. And back over to OBS. Just thought it would be right in here. Keep going to the same box like it's going to change, and it's just not changing. I expect to see a bunch of data about the signal in here. I'd swear that's what my capture card does. Figure the crossbar, that shouldn't be it at all. Device default in resolution. It is showing a resolution of 3840 by 2160 that's shaded out, but I just don't know is that what it's receiving or what it's upscaling. That's the part I'm trying to figure out. The color space and color range is all good. I don't know if using hardware decoding when available applies to us. Doesn't seem to have made a difference. I should know what the device default is. In other words, when I choose custom, I don't know why that's not processing it. That should be the same number. Figure video. And again, sometimes it can be backwards. That has not helped us. Sometimes deactivating and reactivating the capture card by just selecting that can make a difference. So I'm going to leave that backwards just because I'm curious when I choose. When I go up here and choose device default, see how it left it at 2160 by 38, it left it backwards? That was my way of trying to determine if that was giving us information or it was just hiding the previous setting we had. So it looks like it's just hiding our previous setting and none of that takes effect. So the only other thing I can think of is if I choose custom and I go back to 3840, I'm just curious, by 2160, and then our frames per second goes to, let's just say highest. Video format, does that make any difference? Turn it off and back on. No, it doesn't. Huh. Well, something's off. 3840 by 2160, highest frames per second. Matching the output should be fine. 3840, 2160 versus device default. So I'm just trying to figure out what are the defaults? It doesn't tell me. So it must be determining the defaults up here under settings. You understand this computer the whole time is acting no differently than a $3,000 computer would if we were doing this on the streamer. Everything we click on appears instantly. The video's not hesitating at all. Video mode, aspect ratio. .30 frames per second. I'm confused. I don't know why. There's a step somewhere I'm missing, and this is on me. But as you can see, again, I just want to emphasize the video playback is perfect. This resolution is 4K. I'm just trying to verify what the source is. It's really hard for me to see 4K, honestly. If you put a full-size image of 4K versus 1080 side by side, I have a very difficult time telling them apart. But what I can tell you, if we were in 1080 right now in a 4K desktop, we would only get 1/4 of, because 480 is 4 times 1080. So just to give you an image of what that looks like, if our resolution was, if I go back to 1080 over here, it'd be interesting to see what this does. We'll go back to display, and we're going to change our desktop back to 1080. At least that way I'll be able to read it. So now the problem is, if our input is 4K, now this has made no difference. If our input is 4K, if our input is 1080 and our canvas is 4K, then we can fit 4 of these in each, one in each corner, basically, to make up 4 1080 images to fill the screen. This is why I'm a computer tech and not a video production tech. This stuff gets really confusing. Let me jump back to 4K again on the desktop, and I'll demonstrate what I'm explaining here. So we'll go back to 3840 by 2160. Keep that. Close that. And under our settings, we're going to change our canvas to be, let's see where our canvas is. Okay, so what if our input is 4K, but our output is 1080? Everything's, you see what's happened here is now things aren't formatting correctly. So let me exit out of OBS and restart with those settings and see if it auto centers it for us. It does. So it's condensing that 4K image down into a 1080 canvas. I thought there was a canvas size setting, but did they change it? Bitrate, coder, buffer. I thought it was right here under video, downscale. It just says that we have our this will be our canvas here. They've rephrased it. What if I reverse this around? If our canvas is 1920 by 1080, here's where things get confusing. Turn that off, turn it back on. It looks like see what happens if I choose custom and do 1920 by 1080. Whoa. Realize that was kind of, what just happened? 1920. Oh, look at that. So we're definitely coming in. We are coming in at 1080. Now I'm starting to wonder this does capture at 4K, doesn't it? Capture resolution is listed right here. It does say 2160. The pass-through is also 2160, 30 frames or 60 frames. Maximum capture resolution, that's, okay, well that explains the price. The maximum capture resolution is 1080. So there's my hang up. So it was upscaling the 1080 to fit into a 4K screen. Okay, so that's a little tricky. This is not a 4K capture card in the sense that it only captures 1080 through the USB. That explains that. All right, at least I got an answer because it was really confusing me. Now let's go back over to camera 1. So you've got to have a 4K camera. You need a 4K capable capture card if you want to output that. What this is doing in 4K is passing it through, apparently. Supports 4K pass-through. Supports up to 1080 60 frames capture. There it is. And hence the price. Okay. Thought I was going crazy. That's why we do these live and unscripted. A lot of people think it's so easy. You just stream, you just turn the thing on and go. There's so much more to it than that, from your lighting to your audio quality to even just getting the darn camera to output the signal into your capture card at the right resolution and the right frame rate. And that's why when I set it, I leave it alone. I back up those settings, and if worst case scenario, I'll just copy the whole settings back. And even though OBS has a backup and restore function, I just copy the whole OBS directory right out of the user folder. And it's very small. So once I install OBS, all I have to do is install it. As long as I'm restoring back the same version, like 3103 or whatever that was. I always have the latest version, and I copy all the file structure right back on top of it in the user folder. And it puts all my scenes back, all my settings, everything gets put back. That's what the backup and restore function does too. I just do it old school. So what does that mean? One last time, we're going to jump back over here, and I'm going to show you full screen over here. And I am going to drop this down to 1920 by 1080 for the final time, so I can read it. So if I wanted, let's say I had OBS all configured the way I like it. When you go into OBS, there's an option to back up your profile. But what I want to do instead is just copy the entire OBS directory, which is under users, under user, that's my username is user. And there's a hidden folder, so I have to show the hidden folders to see this. View properties. View options. I want to view and show hidden files and folders. Don't show hidden files and folders, show hidden files and folders. And now we're going to see app data right here. See how it's kind of faded out? That tells us it's normally hidden. Under app data, under roaming, there's OBS Studio. It's a pretty small folder, but this is where OBS puts all of your configuration right in here. So if I just copy OBS Studio, right click, you'll see it's a pretty small file. The entire size of it is about 2 megs, maybe a little under 2 megs. And I just copied that whole folder, put it on a flash drive, and I've got a backup. Then when I reinstall OBS, I then copy OBS Studio back into this hidden folder. It'll say, do you want to overwrite what's already there? I say yes. And then I start OBS, and it comes back with all my scenes and all of my profiles. Everything just comes back. Just don't mix and match versions and you'll be okay. Or you can play it safe. You know, you can use OBS and do the traditional backup and restore. I think it's under profile. Where do they keep that? Yeah, it's under import and export, which is another way of saying backup and restore. Okay. I think that covers it. So the point that I'm trying to make in this, even though I could output this at 4K, this is only going to process. It's got a 4K signal coming in from the camera. It's processing it at 4K out the other HDMI. It's passing it through. But then through the USB, for the technology that's involved in this unit at this price, it's downscaling it to 1080. So in here, once it's at 1080, we can configure OBS to amplify that to 4K, but it's not a real 4K file. It's just an upscaled 1080. Or we can just leave it at 1080. But the point is, you can see the camera is smooth regardless of all that processing. And as long as our internet bandwidth can handle that upload bandwidth of a 4K file, which is, you know, 4 times more data throughput per second than a 1080 file, there's no limitation on the mini PC at all. It's more than powerful enough to handle that. I was going to demonstrate that live, but without being able to get 4K to work, it's no big deal to do 1080. In fact, you don't even need the capture card. If you're going budget, just get a web camera. It's all built in through the web camera, and you don't need to use a camera and a capture card and all this cabling, right? You just plug your web camera in. Get a name brand web camera. Don't get some piece of junk. If your video quality is important to you, this is fine, okay? But get a good camera. You can't go wrong with a Logitech web camera. Now, that's my personal opinion. There are other web cameras out there that may be equivalent for less money, but I am telling you, the Logitech Brio line, if you want really good, take a look at that. And you can also look for those refurbished or recertified as well if you want to save a little bit of money. And pay attention, because the camera may say it's 720 or 1080 or 4K. The price is usually going to be indicative of how many frames per second it can do, and also the kind of color correction and lighting. Some of these web cameras require a lot of light to look right. And with Logitech, you do pay a bit more than some of the other off-brands, non-name brands, but they're also very consistently good at what they do. In fact, if I just jump back over here real quick, and we'll go to Amazon and type in Logitech webcam. Now I'm going to show you what shows up here, because there's a lot of variation. And ultimately, depending on how important your video resolution is to you and how much bandwidth you're paying for from your internet service provider, it may not make sense for you to buy an expensive webcam that you can't use at the high settings. So looking over here at Amazon and just typing in the word Logitech webcam as our search, what we're getting is the MX Brio. This is a very, very nice camera. It's also $200. If we click on it though, I wonder, is there anything used or returned down here? Saved with used, very good, from Amazon resale, $152. Sign me up for that all day, because that's like 75% off. I'm sorry, 25% off. It's 75% of the price, and free delivery, and it's coming from Amazon that has free returns. So if it's marked up or damaged or something, you have 30 days to send it back for a full refund, no risk. $150 is a fair price, absolutely, for a 4K quality camera. Now, when you want to buy a $31 camera from a name brand like Lenovo, listen, you're getting a $31 camera. You know, here, $40, it's 1080, it's basic. These were pretty good for their day, the C920s. And especially if you only have the bandwidth for 1080 anyway, this is great. $70, it's half the price, does a quarter of the resolution. Right? You following me? Get what you pay for. Logitech also has this really nice professional camera, which I don't know if they still make it. but boy, it's one of my favorites. This one right here. I can't believe it's that cheap. Oh, because it's only 1080. This is a really high-end 1080 60 frame per second, and you see the lens on it's quite a bit bigger. It does a much better autofocus and can track you, even though it doesn't move. As long as you're in the frame, with the Logitech software, it can auto zoom within the frame. It's pretty clever tech. If you want to take your chances with a 4K webcam made by who knows, it might be all you need. 40 bucks. Seems to have good reviews. That's on you, right? I can't say that the picture quality is going to be the same, but it might be good enough for you. Most of these are going to be 4K. Now here's a Brio from a few years ago. That's a 4K webcam at 120 bucks. Again, depending on your requirements, that may be fantastic. Usually what's improving is the amount of video processing with the amount of light. Cameras are so dependent on light. If you're filming outdoors, it's no problem during the daytime. You're always going to get a good shot. It's when you're indoors that this can become frustrating. But these, no-name brand, 20 bucks, I guess if you want to play around, they're fine. But if you're serious, you're only going to end up spending more when after you spend the 20 bucks, you realize it's not as good as you were hoping. Then you end up paying the 150 bucks for the good camera. So now you're at 170. Didn't save you much, did it? Then there's the OBS bot. And the OBS bot's a pretty cool, if you're moving around a lot, this thing can follow you around the room. It's really clever. 4K, 60 frames per second, auto tracking. It's got a large sensor in it, more like the cameras I use versus a webcam. This is super clever. Yeah, it's also $1,200. Now, if you get the generation before, just the regular OBS bot, this is only 1080, but it can do up to 100 frames per second. PTZ means pan, tilt, and zoom. And it's got a smaller sensor. I think that's a smaller sensor. It's got gesture control, so you can program it for when you move your hand a certain way that it can zoom or tilt or pan. It's got something called staggered HDR, high definition resolution. And for 100 bucks, that's a really good price because this thing was astonishing when it came out. They've just massively improved it. And I know these two prices, they're so far apart. I'm sure that's probably why it's got 3 stars. You'd think for 12 times the money, you get 12 times the camera. That's about 4 times the camera, in my opinion. That should be about $400 or $500 if that one's 100 bucks. I don't have one because I don't move around. But here's a very small version of it with a smaller CMOS sensor, half the size of the sensor, the light sensor right in there, more like a regular webcam. And you'll say it's 160 bucks. What makes cameras expensive are the lenses. It's always been the case. If you know anything about cameras, or if you've ever known anything about cameras, the one universal truth is the cameras are cheap and it's the lenses that are expensive. So when you see that shocking price in that OBS bot too, it's because it's got a much more expensive lens in it. It's not the OBS bot itself, it's that lens. So anybody who's been into like 35mm photography, they likely have a shelf full of lenses that added up could buy the camera 50 times over. It's kind of like that. The reason I use the cameras I use is specifically because they have some of the largest sensors that I can afford. And those large sensors make low light or indoor filming a lot easier to light. They're not so finicky, along with color matching being more accurate. So if you go from a Sony to a Panasonic to any other brand of camera, and they're all 4K, in this case camcorders, or even if they're digital point and shoot, not point and shoot, if they're SLR, digital SLRs, how they define the color range is very specific to a manufacturer. So a manufacturer of a DSLR like Sony can make the exact same specifications for a camera Panasonic makes, and you'll look at them, and one you feel like you need to correct the color on more than the other one. Or in my case, with these Sony cameras we're using, I don't have to correct the color at all. Right out of the camera, it's great. On the Canon cameras, well, I'm very happy with them. I did have to modify the colors a bit. So I'm very happy with the out-of-the-box settings with Sony, but that's a personal preference, right? Canon has their personal preference, Sony has theirs, Panasonic has theirs, etc., etc., etc. You find a brand you like, you stick with it. Okay, let me jump back over to the chat and see what you guys have been saying here, because I have been away. Patrick says he thinks he's got enough bandwidth for 2 or 3 cameras. I downloaded an 1100 megabyte file. Upload is 35 megs. Okay, so just so you know, 35 megs is about the minimum you need for 4K broadcast, just so you know. Our broadcast is at about 31 megs per second right now. When I say 35,000, we're talking bits. When we're talking about the megs, you're looking at, you're right there for 4K. 8K, you'd have to double that, so you know. But yes, you are correct. With 4K, you could handle it once. Now, if you're multiple cameras sharing 4K all in the same OBS, you're still okay. But if 2 people are trying to stream 4K at the same time, and each one of you needs 30 at the same time, and you only have 35, and you need 60, you're both going to have stuttering and connection issues. Now, if it's 1080, then you only need like 6 or 8, in which case you could run multiple 6 or 7 cameras. Wait, 8, 16, 24, 32. You could run 4 and still have a little bit left over with 35 up. Andy Kane said the Streamline one is €98 here in Ireland. John Williams says, oh, he's talking to Scott about a mini PC, a very capable mini PC. Video quality is good. I think the chat room seems like it's been quiet here. Okay, well, that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today, because we can sit here and talk about how capable these are and to give you examples, see how fast they boot. Put it under a real world scenario. So what are you using your computer for? What is the most resource intensive thing that you have your computer do? For most people, it's opening a browser, it's checking email, it's paying bills or booking plane tickets or Airbnb online, doing some kind of online shopping at Amazon. It's watching YouTube videos. None of this stuff is that resource intensive. Opening PDF files, printing PDF files, opening up your photos. Look, we can open up photos and edit them. There's no issue with that. If you're going to do some extreme editing, like with Adobe Photoshop, different story. But yeah, just opening up a standard photo editor and cropping and doing what I would do in a regular photo, there's no difference. It just opens, you crop or adjust your colors, save it. Look, we're all doing this on cell phones now. You know what I mean? Like, the issue is if you're trying to do like image manipulation and layering, this will still do it, but the price of your Adobe software is more than the price of this. So why would you be using this? It doesn't line up with the cost of software of that level to be running it on a computer at that level. Even though this computer will do it, it's going to struggle on, you know, complex images that you're complex manipulation of images, especially large scale, 50, 60 meg images or larger. That would not be the right tool for the job, although it will do it. But regular photo editing and, with the built-in Microsoft tools and all that other, it's the same as it is on your phone. So when I say the same, I mean, there's no delay. It just does it, just like your phone does. The Mac Geek said the most intensive task for me is scrolling Facebook. Yeah, these do that equally. It's not even, they're just idling at that point. John Williams said, we were talking about the mini PC I've connected to OBS on your desk. You're the best. Love your content. Thank you, John. Yeah, this little guy's pretty impressive, but I have to say they're all impressive in the same way. I think why this one stands out is just how tiny it is. That's the thing that a lot of people can't get over. And I don't think I've seen another mini PC where you have 3 HDMI outputs before. In that way, it stands uniquely alone. At the same time, I'm not aware of anybody who needs 3 HDMI outputs. They need 2, 3, but there you go. If for that reason alone, this stands unique against all the others. And if you see that as a benefit, of value to you more than the others, then that's right for you. On the other hand, if you're like everybody else and pretty much using 1 monitor and very few of you using 2, then any of these will do that easily. So then how do you value it? Based on what? How many USB ports it has? That might be of more value to you. Whether it's DDR4 or DDR5, whether it's SATA or NVMe. I just think at this price point, you get what you get, and you have all this variety now, where it used to just be one was on sale for $125 or whatever. Get it while they last, and then maybe another one will go on sale. Now, today, in April 2025, you have a dozen to choose from. I only have a half dozen of them here. Now, I hope you'll join me next week, because it's going to be very interesting to see if I can take this Linux-based computer from this unknown manufacturer, see if they have drivers that I can download that are easily found, or if I have to go and do that myself to put Windows 11 on it. And will that work? I suspect it's going to work. Do they have a website? I haven't even tried to look. I could look right now, but I don't want to ruin my surprise. I hope they have a website, and I hope they have a place to download drivers. If not, they haven't invented any of the stuff, okay? So we could just grab the drivers for somewhere else. But at that $20 off coupon, bringing that price to $112, well, that adds yet another mini PC to the potential list if you're willing to put that work into it. Or if you'd rather put the work into it because it sounds like fun, it might be a better choice for you in that value system. So I'm not here to make a decision on your behalf. I'm here to provide you information and to set you up with realistic expectations on how these vary in price. They're all $125 or less, or one's like $129. And they're all equipped differently. No 2 of these are the same. Which one's better is up to you to make that decision. I'm here to show you the differences. And I'm also here to tell you I recommend all of these. Now, the one I haven't received yet that's got Linux, I don't know if I'm going to recommend that or not. But I hope you'll come back and join us when we do that. John Williams said Scott has this mini PC, this one here. He wanted you to check to see if Secure Boot is enabled. So on this one, to check if Secure Boot is enabled, because we just went through this the other day, we'll jump back over to the desktop. And right here in the little white search window down here, just type in msinfo32 and hit enter. And then scroll down, and Secure Boot state is off. Now, I'm not sure why so many of these are defaulting to Secure Boot state off, because if it stays in off mode, we're going to have trouble installing Windows 11. But once Windows 11 is installed, apparently this can be turned on or turned off in the BIOS. And it should be a relatively easy thing to just restart the computer. And as it's booting, you press usually delete or F2, something like that, to get us into the BIOS and turn Secure Boot on or enabled, and that should be all it takes. I'm not exactly sure what benefit this gives us other than making sure we can get Windows 11 installed. And I'm not sure why Windows 11 allows it to be turned off without complaining about it after it's been installed. So I've got a little bit to learn on that. But if we go over here to the boot section, no, it's not under boot. It's under security probably. Secure boot right there. Enter. It says secure boot is enabled and secure boot is in standard versus custom. That's interesting. If I choose custom, maybe. So one of two things. So restore factory keys is often a good thing to set up. We'll hit yes on that. Reset without saving. Yes. No, that's not what I think. I don't know. Let's just let it boot up again after we reset the key. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it did show it was enabled in the BIOS. So we'll check it. We'll let it boot and we'll check just to see if we've made any change there. Or I'll go back and set it to custom because I didn't save the custom thing. Let's see what it says. There's probably something in the future that's going to come up where we have to have that enabled after Windows 11 is installed. Like I said, Windows 11 won't install without it. Secure boot state now says it's on. So if you are having that issue, if you have a friend with one of these, that's how you fix it right there. Don't worry about changing it to custom. Just change it back to reset the factory key, and it's happy. It did say off before, right? Because my eyes, it's looking a little fuzzy. Thank you for the question, John. Good point. We should be checking that on all these now since I'm seeing it so often. Peter VZ with a €1 super chat joining us from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Thank you, Peter. Scott said, I like my Ace Magician, but I had to make some adjustments to get Secure Boot turned on. I had to install the keys. I just reset the factory key, so. Okay, glad you got it figured out. Doman 2000 said, Windows 11 only wants Secure Boot to be available. It does not need to be enabled. By Secure Boot being available, it implies you have a UEFI BIOS. Well, that could explain it. That makes sense. Scott said on his new ASRock motherboard, he had to change to custom and install the keys. Where'd you get the keys from? I mean, I'm assuming you're just restoring the keys built into the BIOS. That's all set at the factory. That's not something a user would be plugging in. So that's why I'm a little confused about the statement. The keys are just like a password. They're a series of numbers that are programmed in at the manufacturer inside of the BIOS, and you can customize and change them. That's something a corporation might do, not an end user. Otherwise, you stick with what the corporation has embedded into the BIOS. Bernard C. says, I'm going to finally get one of these GMKtec minis. We'll see soon. Yeah, try it out. See if you like it. See if you don't like it. Tell us why, one way or the other. And I'd be very interested to hear your feedback. I know what my customers want, okay? But I don't know necessarily what you want. But I can tell you, when we're getting this close to that $100 price point, the fact that you can get this much at this price blows my mind. The idea that somebody would say that's not enough, the only thing I can think of is this person is complaining they're not getting enough for their $100 when the same exact stuff was $300 a couple of years ago, the equivalent. So, you know, we see 8 terabyte NVMe drives selling for $800 just for the storage drive, and people don't blink. We see video cards like the new 5070, it's like $600. The 5060 is like $300. You could buy several of these, but and people don't blink. You just buy it. They're buying video games that cost more than the whole computer. So it's almost like the value of $1 has very different value depending on how many dollars you have. So for example, if somebody else is buying my dinner, I can eat quite well and not worry about it. But if I'm going to buy dinner, my joke is always, I really enjoy this restaurant. Let's just pick a restaurant. I always enjoy it. But when someone else is paying the bill, it always just tastes a little better. If you live in a world where somebody else is always paying your bills, we have a very different way of looking at the value of $1. When I watched, they had a series of shopping with Michael Jackson back in the day on TV, and he's like, oh, I'll have 2 of these and 1 of these. And he's in a furniture shop. Have that delivered. I'll take this. I can't imagine going into a furniture shop and just buying multiple pieces of furniture on a whim. Yeah, nah. Then it occurs to me, when you have that kind of money, if he's looking at a Matchbox car, just a little toy car, or the real car, like a Matchbox $3 Corvette or a $130,000 Corvette, they're the same to him. It's nothing. It's basically free. I'm just one of those. I'll give you 2 of those. I can't even imagine what it would be like to live in a world where money didn't matter. Everything was essentially free. Yeah, take these. Now, eventually, I think he did have money problems. What a shock. But, if you're royalty, you're born into it. You're just born into family finances that, the family's got more money than you could spend. Different priorities in your life than mine. And what I'm sharing with you are the customers who call me. And it's pretty rare a customer calls me who says, money's no object. I want the best. It's happened maybe once or twice. It's very rare. And I love those customers, because those are the easiest. The ones that pay the most are often the easiest ones to please, because they're not usually spending too much time on it. They're so busy, whatever they do, earning their money, or they have so many hobbies and interests. They're traveling and they're skiing, and now they're in Switzerland. You have that kind of money. You're not just sitting around playing a video game all day. But when they play the video game, they want to enjoy it. And if they have a problem, I am certainly very motivated to keep them happy, because I want them buying another one and telling all their rich friends they should buy one too. See what I'm saying? But when you're dealing with people who are struggling to make ends meet, as a public service, I want to help them too. I don't want to rip them off. I don't want to sell them something that I know is crap, but that's all you can afford. If you can't afford the very basic of what I recommend, my recommendation is don't buy it. Wait until you have enough. They're not that much money. It's not that big of a sacrifice. You're not going to have to save for very long. For, to hit $100, you don't have to save much over a long period of time to hit that price. And then you're good for a long time. But instead, I see people making really bad decisions. I see them put it on a credit card, and then it takes them 6 months to pay it off. And if you add up all their minimum payments, they just paid $400 for this $100 computer. Well, it's no wonder why they're broke. They're going to stay broke. The people who can least afford that are the ones who get caught up in it. And the ones who can't afford it, they get paid from credit cards. They pay for everything with a credit card. They get cash back, or they get bonus miles. So the rich people who have a lot of money, who can pay their card up every month, the card pays them. And the poor people, we're going to call them poor people. The people who spend outside of their budget and don't stay within their means, for whatever reason, pay 4 to 20 times more for the same item as the rich person. At least here in America, interest rates on a credit card are around 30%. 30%. Nobody with money would ever take out a 30% loan. The only person that would do that is somebody who has none. So how does that get you more? That's just digging a hole deeper. Don't do that. I wish the United States would make that stuff illegal. It's such taking advantage of the people who are going to pay the most, who have the least amount of money. That is messed up. Please do not fall in that trap. That is a very difficult hole to dig out of. You want to ask me how I know? Scott says when he goes in the BIOS, the keys are there and it asks you to install them. Oh, easy enough. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you bringing that up and having us check that. And I just need, I think, to make that a regular routine now to check on that secure boot state. Again, I'm not quite sure what benefit it has, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So if it's there, you might as well turn it on, is what I'm saying. And I've not been paying attention. So now that you've brought this to my attention, I'll know to watch for that. And I thank you for that. You might need to remind me, okay? Steve Chappelle joins us and says hello. Jeff wants to know in the chat, which of these would be good for a TV streamer? Every one of them. Every single one of them. At the end of the day, which one is going to look best in your cabinet or next to your TV? Or maybe all you need is a Fire Stick. I mean, if that's all you want to do is stream to a TV, nothing wrong with an Amazon Fire Stick. You don't need to worry about Windows and a keyboard and a mouse. You use a Fire Stick and a remote. You get a 4K Fire Stick for like 40 bucks. And it doesn't matter if the TV is a smart TV, it turns it into a smart TV. So if I go to Amazon and I search for a Fire Stick, they have them as low as $20 if you only want 1080. This keyboard here is the one I want, Fire Stick. Then I'll share the screen with you here. Oops. So where the Fire Stick, in my opinion, is better than a streaming computer is it's got a microphone in it that you push the blue button and what you say it transcribes right then and there into your search box. And that way you're not using the on-screen keyboard choosing each letter individually with this round dial, which you have to press up or press down. It doesn't spin. You press it left, you press it right. It's a pain in the butt if you want to spell out something. Hit the blue button, talk into it, and it translates it, puts it in the search box, search for you. This plugs into the back of the TV, connects wirelessly to your wireless network in your house. It doesn't have to be that strong of a signal. Look at here. Just the regular 1080 one is 20 bucks. The 4K model is 30 bucks. And the 4K Max, which is Wi-Fi 6E, 40 bucks. And then they have some adapters and things if you want to wire it instead of running wireless, or if you want to have like a, hopefully your TV has a USB port that can power it. But if it doesn't have a USB port, it plugs into like a cell phone charger. And they have all kinds of little accessories they can nickel and dime you on for like a little housing that this can fit in, like a little rubberized housing that fits around the remote like a glove. I stay away from Roku. I don't like it. I also am not a fan of the Cube. That's like a home assistant. It's big, and I guess if you like, you know, Alexa or Echo or something like that, this combines those two things, the Fire TV along with the personal assistant. I'm not a fan of personal assistants, not digital ones. I like real ones. And yeah, if you just want to stream on TV, this is what I use. I don't use a computer on my TV. I use a Fire Stick. We have 3 TVs and 3 Fire Sticks. And I almost never watch the TV any other way. And if you have Netflix, anything like that, that's all built into the Fire Stick. You just, as long as you have an account. But I'm Amazon Prime. I'm an Amazon Prime customer, as you well know. So I can get all the Amazon Prime content right on my TV. And I don't need to worry about a keyboard and a mouse. And that's, you know, a third of the price. All right, we're a little over time here, about 2.5 hours into today's show. Hey, there's Mark Leibowitz joining us in the chat. Mark runs a computer repair center there out of Chicago, or in the Chicago area. He said, you know, a lot of folks in Chicago will spend more than $4 for a fancy cup of Starbucks coffee. I prefer to buy my own coffee and brew it for pennies per cup. If I'm out and 7-Eleven has custom brew for just over $1, yeah, no, I'm with you. It's priority, right? It's how they're spending their money. It's not that they don't have it, it's what they're spending it on. And if they're not willing to sacrifice optional things to have something else that they consider optional, well, that's their choice. It's not like they're stuck. They're just willingly making that decision. I'm okay with that. I just don't want them to say, feel sorry for me because I make bad choices. That's different from saying I don't have any money. You had the money, you spent it on something else. Let's see. Mark Liebowitz said, I had a Fire TV stick for a while, but I found that Alexa is an expensive date. If I asked her to find anything for me, she could only find it on pay streams, even if it was available on free ones. So again, I don't use it like that. I don't like, if there's any Alexa functionality in it, as far as I know, you need the cube for that. As far as I know, that's not in the Fire Stick. The Fire Stick is just a language translation model into the search engine. And if that search engine is what you're referring to, it gets a little confusing that it's only going to search Netflix when you're in Netflix, or it's only going to search the web when you're in the web portion. It's only going to search YouTube. We're in the YouTube search. So depending on which search you're in, or if you're just at the home screen, that's likely where it has no idea where you want it to look, and it defaults to like sales stuff, right? Where it might present you with a web page of things for sale. In that case, what I do is I open, pretty much I'm opening the YouTube app. And then when I'm in the YouTube app, I go to search, and when the little search bar appears, that's when I hit the microphone and talk into it. Now, I know I can do that from other areas within the app, but consistently that's what works for me. If you're too far away from the TV, you could have trouble with the range. It depends. But that's like the biggest problem I've ever had with it. Otherwise, I'm just moving the arrows up and down. I can get to the comment section. I can thumbs up. I can thumbs down. I can go to the channel and see their entire library, the same as I can do with the computer. But that's a little more difficult to use a keyboard and mouse, either sitting on the couch or laying in bed watching TV. Just give me a remote. And for that, I'd recommend a Fire TV stick. Mark Baggett said, hey, great stream. And so did Dustin Fuller, says great stream. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks for helping to make it great. It wouldn't be as great if you weren't here. Our thanks to Mara, of course, doing all the administrative tasks in the background, today's thumbnail. And she's constantly talking with companies that reach out to us and want us to review stuff. If there's something in particular that's in the field of the area in which we cover tech here, networking products, computers, and if we can afford it or get the company to send us one, let us know what you'd like to see. We stay away from the hobbyist stuff. pfSense, routers, and TrueNAS. That's hobbyist. I don't make any money in that in my business, so I'm not really interested in it. But I do make money helping solve computer problems for my customers. Whether that's we're looking for a budget computer that's going to be good and not a piece of crap, and we have a very tight budget, or we're looking for networking equipment. It's always about value and reliability. That's my world. It's never about what can we hodgepodge together to make work. No one pays me to do that. So do keep in mind when you're making recommendations, things like Unraid or even Proxmox, we don't have any purpose for that customers call us for. But everything you see on my channel, and there might be a few exceptions, are items that I deal with in this business to answer the needs of my customers. And so if there's something you'd like to see that you think falls into that category that some customer would call me and need, whether it's a Wi-Fi router under a certain budget or has certain capabilities, mini PCs, full-size PC, anything PC related, storage, RAM, monitors. I generally will say monitors, keyboards, mice, speakers, and headphones are very subjective, and I don't like to give any recommendations because what I hear and what I like to hear is probably different than you. When you get in my car and you see how I have the bass, treble, and mid set, you may love it, you might hate it. That's why those settings are adjustable, so each person can set it the way they like. For all I know, you may not even like the speaker system and the whole, head unit. You might think it's all crap. Nothing money doesn't fix. So I try to show a lot of consideration to the individual's perception of value with regards to what they hear, what they feel, and what they see. Not what I feel and what I see and what I hear. That only matters to me. If a client comes up to me with that kind of a question, then it leads to a conversation. So what kind of a keyboard are you looking for? Do you like something that's clicky? Do you want the numeric keypad? I actually had a customer tell me the keyboards we used to rest a pencil right up here. And now these new keyboards, there's nowhere to put the pencil. Can you get me a keyboard? And I look on Amazon and I find a few. I go, well, any of these work? You can return them if you don't like them. Customer called and said, we're looking for a surge protector where the outlets aren't too close together because we have this receipt printer and this other Dymo printer, and each one takes a plug this big and it's covering up the other plugs on a straight surge protector. Is there a surge protector that you recommend, Carey? And well, sure, I'll look on Amazon for you. Now that you've added all of that additional information besides, I want a surge protector, do you want it in black? Do you want it in white? And then I just find a few quality, what I know that I'm familiar with the brand names over at Amazon and see the reviews. And they have surge protectors that stand upright and they have plugs on each side, all four sides. And that way you don't bump into each other on your adapters. And then I just send the links to the customer and say, do any of those look good? Because all of that's very subjective. I don't know exactly what they're looking for. And the more precise they can be, the better my suggestion can be. But then there are other things like, what's a good computer? Well, how are you going to use it and how much money do you want to spend? That's less subjective. That's more objective. What's happening?
I just wanted to come down to say this was a fun stream.
Watching me struggle with my capture card?
Loved it.
I should have known that was not 4K. It's so deceptive. It's 4K, but it's not.
Regardless, this was wonderful.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. What do you think of my little Ace Magician hockey puck?
You know, it's doing a great job.
Did you hear it?
I do. I hear something, but it's not the fan.
It's probably the fan, ceiling fan. There is a little fan in there. You can hear it.
Oh, I do hear it. Yeah, but it's very mild. It's like you would notice it.
I've heard seashells that are larger than that are louder.
Yeah.
And larger than this.
Great job.
You know, our friends over at SCD Keys, I keep telling you, you get legal Windows and Microsoft Office licenses for a fraction of the cost, and you get 30% off with coupon code Carey. It sounds like an ad.
Can I interrupt really quick? Folks, get ready to see the shelf that's going to go behind Carey. It's already looking pretty amazing.
Oh, is that what you were looking at over there?
Yeah, it looks amazing. I love it.
It's coming. It's coming together. I've got to keep all the motherboard boxes with those machines, and because they're all weird shapes, I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that. So that's why it hasn't been done yet. I'm going to find a resolution to keeping all the boxes and spare parts with each machine, because that's my organization system. And yeah, the shelf is just off camera there, half assembled, because I don't want to put the next shelf on until I know how high it has to be. So that's still an ongoing project, but at least it's making progress now. But yeah, the folks over at SCD Keys, we've got an arrangement with them where we can continue to offer you guaranteed keys at a 30% off their regular price, which is already low. And I don't make a commission. So if you buy it or you don't buy it, I am paid the same. I am honestly doing this for you. I want to help you guys out. I want to make sure you don't get ripped off, that you're getting the real thing. Very few content creators will stand behind it, whatever they're promoting. They go, hey, that's your problem. You know, if there's a problem. I don't do that. If I'm putting my name behind it, it's no different than a real life customer who says, Carey, I need a copy. I need you to provide us with a copy of Windows. They might be a lawyer's office. It could be a police department, a government agency. I've got to put a legal copy on. I've got restrictions likely you don't have. And I'm telling you, I have done the research on these keys. They are all legit. The support is real. They've got your back, and you're not going to find that level of support for less money. Anything less money being sold online is likely risky, meaning it might work and it might not. It's sort of a lottery ticket. This is no lottery ticket. This is guaranteed. And if you have any problems, you let them know. They will fix it. But what if they don't fix it? Then you reach out to me, because I guarantee whatever it is, I fix it. And I think in the entire time that I've been recommending them, we've had 3 people reach out, and we've solved all 3. And when you consider the hundreds, if not thousands, of keys that are sold, 3 is nothing. So I can still very confidently stand here, unlike other content creators, and I can tell you firsthand, this meets the demanding requirements that fall under running a legal business with liability that I use myself. And I'm just passing that on to you with a discount because it's good for you, it's good for them to make the sale, and it's good for me to know that people appreciate that I'm looking out for them and we're building community here. It's not about squeezing as much money out of you as possible and then kicking you to the curb. I'm not part of that school. That's just not my thought process. We're here to build relationships that hopefully last a lifetime versus trying to get as much and squeeze you for everything and then dump your empty carcass and move on to the next victim. I have no interest in that. Too much of that's going online right now. Too much of it's on YouTube right now. And unless a content creator can give you that peace of mind, you're gambling. Maybe if I was good at gambling, I'd be a little more positive in that. But when I hear the word gambling, I cringe, because that's just taking my money. I'm a bad gambler, and I certainly don't want to gamble with my business. Otherwise, how am I going to eat? So you can understand my motivation to want to make sure everything's on the up and up, because I want to stay in business. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Links for those discounts at SCD Keys are in the video notes below this video, the video description, whatever you want to call it. Links for all of these PCs are in the video description. With that the Linux computer coming up, I'm looking forward to kind of playing here. I wouldn't do this for a customer, by the way. Customer can pay the extra 20 bucks and just get it right. This is for the channel. This is just for fun, and it's for me, just because I'm curious. We've had a lot of people talk about Linux. We're not a Linux channel. It's not what we do here. But can I take the Linux machine and put Windows on it? We hear a lot of people going, can I take that Windows machine and put Linux on it? Remember, I'm the guy that's going to go the other way. If everybody's going this way, Carey's going that way. If people are jumping into a Windows channel saying, how come you guys aren't using Linux? I want to jump into a Linux channel and go, how come you guys aren't using Windows and you wouldn't have all these problems? Doesn't make me people's best friends. But I'm trying to show you there are 2 sides. And just because one side's louder than the other doesn't mean it's not the exact same size and value as the exact opposite side. And I at least have the courtesy to think you're smart enough to make the decision yourself if you were given both sides of the information equally. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to prove anybody right or wrong. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible, especially the information that's being omitted for the cons, the negatives. All you hear about are the pros. This is better and that's better. Okay, but is everything better? No. It's sort of like growing up when they say to you, do you know when you grow up, you can be anything you want to be? But you know what they don't tell you? At least they didn't tell me. You can't be everything you want to be. You can have anything you want to have. You can't have everything you want to have. That's an important distinction to me. It would have been nice if they'd have included that little bit, okay? And that's what I'm trying to accommodate for, is that little bit that seems to be so common when people talk to each other, especially online, where they're painting a picture, but they're not showing you the other side of the canvas. That's it. That'll wrap it up for me for today. I hope you guys have a great Friday. Thank you again to Mark Gaines and Charlie Purdy. Thank you to Luke Greenia. I'm going to just check the phone one more time to make sure I haven't missed anything else here. I think I got you all. We should have that remote KVM coming in very soon, so I'm looking forward to reviewing that. I'm thinking I might need to order a couple more of those if it's everything I think it's going to be. They're a Kickstarter project, and they take about a month from the time you order it to when it arrives. That's normal because they're still Kickstarter. They're making them in batches, but they are shipping product, and it's real. And if you want to learn more, just do a search here on YouTube for Jet KVM, keyboard video mouse, Jet KVM. Look at some of the reviews and how it works. For 70 bucks, these things were like 400 bucks. Equivalent units from other manufacturers and proprietary designs. These are open source, 70 bucks. Are you kidding me? So I am anxious to get my hands on that Linux mini PC. I'm anxious to get my hands on the Jet KVM. And the folks at GLINet, they also make a remote KVM called the Comet, and it's a pre-order. Once they're manufactured, we'll get one and we can compare them side by side. But for somebody like me, I think it's going to be amazing. And oddly, Mara really sees a plan to use this. So that's why I'm afraid we're going to need more than one. But let's just start with one and see if it lives up to the hype. That's what I'm saying. Peter, thank you again for the super chat. And for everybody else in those super chats, by the way, a shout out one more time. Peter contributed right in a row, €1, 3 times. Thank you to Colin Hunt with £5. I was thinking of Colin Hilton, also there in England. So I apologize, Colin, if you're not in England. I might have confused you with Colin Hilton. Dwayne Blackwelder and Charlie Purdy, thank you for renewing your memberships. And Charlie Purdy and Mark Gaines for your contributions and your super chats as well. Very generous folks. And Craig Wilson, thank you for your super chat. Yep, that looks like I got them all. And for each and every one of you, thank you for hanging out and being part of this interactive experiment here that we're running on YouTube that I am thoroughly enjoying interacting with each and every one of you. I see our friend Mitch Morrison just pops in here at the end, says hello. Good to see you, Mitch. We'll talk soon. For everybody else, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.